Hi everybody, my name is Joe. I'm a doctoral student studying clinical psychology, and this is Psych Made Simple. Today we're going to continue our series on the Enneagram. Last time we talked about type 1, we've also talked about type 9, and today we're going to talk about type 2. And just to start, we'll do a quick refresher, and if you want some more information, you can look back at my previous videos about, especially the video on 9, and then also the video about type 1. But basically the way I see the Enneagram, or just one way to think about the Enneagram that I think is helpful, is that it uncovers the traps that keep us from living fully. And another way to say that is that it kind of tells us what our core fears are that maybe drive us away from those fears rather than moving towards our values. So that's what this graphic is showing, is how sometimes there's these fears that we drive away from the fears, but maybe that's not the same direction as moving toward our values. So thinking about that, thinking about the ways in which we're driven by those fears can help us just gain that level of awareness about ourselves and then maybe redirect ourselves to living out our values rather than simply avoiding our fears. And a quick aside that's just important to, again, build on that idea of how to understand the Enneagram as one of those kind of core fears. A lot of times those fears are about our identity, and I think a good way to think about that is what Rene Girard offers about two different types of desire. Now again, I talk about this a lot in the videos about type 9 and a little bit in type 1. I'm going to talk about it a little less, but just a quick overview is that a physical desire is what you enjoy for its own sake. So like driving a fast car, even if nobody knows about how fancy the car is or whatever it may be, you just enjoy driving. Metaphysical desire would be what I enjoy because of who it makes me. So that'd be, for example, like buying a fancy car because it gives you a certain high status and people might look at you fondly because of that. Now, if we think about the type 2, I think it's important to recognize that the type 2 has this metaphysical desire to be needed by other people. Now, I'll quickly read some of these statements from The Road Back to You. This is a book that I've referenced that gives really helpful information about each of the types. Some of these statements, are kind of things that are supposed to resonate with someone who is a type 2. When it comes to taking care of others, I don't know how or when to say no. People think I'm psychic because I usually know what other people need or want. I need to be acknowledged and appreciated for my contributions. That goes up to that metaphysical desire to be needed. And when people ask me what I need, I have no idea how to answer. So going with that one, a lot of times people who are type 2 really are so much thinking about other people, which is a lot of times a great thing, but they're thinking about other people so much that they're often out of touch with their own desire. So that would go back to, if we're thinking about Girard's physical desire, metaphysical desire, they know they have this metaphysical desire to be needed and depended upon by other people, but they don't necessarily know what's actually important to them or what they even enjoy or what they need in different situations. And just to summarize, I think if we go back to that chart, I think the core fear that's driving the two would be not being needed by other people, which would lead to shame. And the reason why I point out that shame, and I have this graphic up here, is the last two types that we talked about kind of fall in this triad of anger as being a primary emotion that they kind of struggle with or experience a lot of and have to deal with. And I would say that one really helpful way to split up the Enneagram or group the different types is by what core emotion is driving a lot of what's going on. And I think that in terms of the type 2, we're getting into that shame category where a lot of the fear, and I know I call all of these core fears, but we'll get to how fears kind of drive 7, 6, and 5 when we get there. But I think that the fear for the 2 is feeling that shame of not being needed by other people or not being depended upon by other people. And of course, with every type, there's a lot of great strengths that come with that of being really helpful to other people. But when that becomes problematic is when the type 2 might be unfamiliar, unaware of their own needs and not able to take care of themselves, or they become so dependent on that identity of being needed by other people that, if they don't get acknowledged or appreciated for that need, as this third statement says, that they really struggle with that and they really get almost, in the worst cases, kind of addicted to that feeling of helping other people and being appreciated. And that can become problematic. So anyways, that's how I see kind of the core fear being that shame of not being needed for the type 2. And again, the whole purpose of this is to kind of recognize those core fears so that you can know what's driving a lot of your behavior, even subconsciously. And a lot of times that's driving you in a direction that's not really in line with who you want to be or what your values are. And being aware of what's driving you can help you kind of redirect yourself, right, and move towards your values instead. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you are a type 2 and this resonated with you, or you think I'm totally wrong and there's something else, feel free to comment, let me know. Please like and subscribe if you want more content like this. I'm going to continue making videos about the Enneagram and other topics in the field of psychology. So feel free to also leave me a comment if you have any suggestions of videos that you would like me to make or topics that you would like to learn more about. So thanks again so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.